Ocean acidification is a drop in the water's pH with some serious consequences. Scientists at Scripps Institution of Oceanography are looking into this problem and researching some novel ways to mitigate its effects. Let's dive in.
Hello, I'm Andreas Andersson. I'm a professor at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Today I'm going to do a demonstration of a problem referred to as ocean acidification. And ocean acidification is a result by the burning of fossil fuels from human activities. So we drive our cars, we fly on airplane, we create energy, we create carbon dioxide that goes up into the atmosphere and into the ocean. So the ocean at the global scale is actually taking up carbon dioxide and changing the acid-base balance in favor of more acidity. So the pH is going down. So we're gonna create a little fake ocean here.
pH indicator. The pH indicator is
telling us what the level of acidity in the water is, essentially. We're now going to simulate the burning of fossil fuels in our model ocean here, and we're going to see what happens to the pH of the seawater. So we're going to simulate our biggest CO2 emitters here. So these candles, they represent the burning of fossil fuels in our model ocean, essentially. Now we're going to put our fake atmosphere on our model ocean. Okay, thank you. If we look at this, the candles are burning, they're producing carbon dioxide, and it's going to go into the water. If we look here at the very interface, you can see a red line. That means that the pH of the seawater is decreasing, or that the acidity of the water is increasing. And this is exactly the same thing that happens when we burn fossil fuels. So what are the implications of this? When you change the pH of the seawater, it becomes much harder for many marine organisms to do what they like to do. For example, corals. Here's a coral core. They make skeletons of calcium carbonate. So they use calcium and they use carbonate ions, they put them together to make calcium carbonate. When the acidity is increasing in the ocean, the ability to make this skeleton becomes much, much harder. So corals will have a harder time building their skeletons. Other organisms include mussels, oysters, anything that makes shells or skeletons out of calcium carbonate.
Whoa! That experiment showed us the process on a planetary scale. But what's happening on the atomic level? Let's check that out next. Ocean acidification has three players: hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean, reacts with water and forms carbonic acid. The acid breaks apart and forms bicarbonate, leaving a free hydrogen, lowering the pH. Alright, so we've seen the chemistry and some of its effects. But how can we pull some CO2 out of the ocean? Let's check in with an expert.
Hi everybody, my name is Dillon Dolinar, and I'm a third-year PhD student in Jen Smith's lab here at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, where I study kelp forest ecology. One of the problems facing our oceans is the amount of carbon dioxide that they give. If we're giving too much carbon dioxide, primary producers might be able to help take some of that away. A primary producer is not like you and me. A primary producer doesn't eat food, and so what they're able to do through the combination of carbon dioxide, water, and light is do something called photosynthesis. And by using this wonderful concoction, they're able to make their own energy. One example of primary producers who take in this nasty carbon dioxide are kelps. You may know kelps as being the big giant ones that stretch all the way from the seafloor to the surface. They can grow up to 100 feet tall. But there's also very small kelps that are going to be living just along the bottom of the ocean. Each of these species contribute by taking in carbon dioxide and putting out oxygen. That's really helpful. Scientists have spent a lot of time trying to understand if kelp is hurt by ocean acidification. And luckily, these kelp species seem to be like climate warriors, where they're able to defend themselves really well against this rising ocean acidification. This is fantastic news because that means they can continue to keep taking in carbon dioxide even though the acidity in the ocean might be going up a little bit. They can keep contributing and taking in that carbon dioxide, giving us more oxygen. We love that.
We love that.
Additionally, this is great news because these species act as foundation species. What this means is that they're able to provide habitat or housing or a place to live for so many little critters that live in our oceans. This could be the baby fish that need a place to hide from the bigger fish. They can hide amongst the kelp blades. It could also be little snails that need to crawl along the seafloor, but they feel safer if they're underneath algae. These are all ways in which kelp contribute to an extremely biodiverse ecosystem that we're lucky enough to have right here on our California coastline.
Wow! What have we learned today? We've seen acidification in real time, formation of carbonic acid, and the climate warrior from our own backyard. On behalf of all our shelled friends out there, stay basic. Thanks for watching.